Okay, welcome to A Course in Miracles Satsang, a talk about truth, pointing to truth. Truth is an experience. It's not a theology. It's an experience. So we're going for the experience of the truth, which is the complete, eternal, infinite love of God. So we're going to get holy instants where we have those moments of expansion. Everything drops away and we're just in this expanded love. And then we come back to this egoic world. And as we do more and more forgiveness, we open more and more to that mind that is outside time and space, but can use time and space. So you can be in the world, but not of it, and be be in the happy dream, and be at peace, have a peaceful mind wherever you go, and listen to guidance. So for me, my experience is I'm not bombarded by guidance all day, right? It's very gentle. It just feels very beautiful so my mind is free of thought, free of like ego thoughts, and it just doesn't have that. It says in the course where there's a section he says about the quietness that comes in, and he says that it's sort of notable when you first get it. So when you first experience that complete quietness of mind, it is very noticeable because you're already got something to compare it to. So it feels so different to what went before, he says. So it's really that silence where there's no ego thoughts. And so it's completely quiet in your mind. And one thing that you notice when you get into that quietness, when it first comes in, there's sort of this, for me, I noticed that the thoughts that had really stopped were these comparison thoughts and judgment thoughts. So there was just this, it's like the commentator in your mind that's commentating on you and commentating on the world and saying, they're better than you and you're failing in this, and look at them and look at yourself. And that all stops. And that's why there's so much freedom and peace when they call it awakening, but really it's just a peaceful mind. It's a quiet mind, right? It's just quiet of all those thoughts, and that's just the ego thoughts. So they basically stop. Occasionally you'll get, I get an ego thought, but as he says, you will continue to get them, but none you want to keep. So it's like someone just saying, here, do you want a judgment thought? And I just say, no, thanks. Why ruin my day? Why ruin my mind? Because my day is experienced through my mind, right? Whatever's going on, the sun rising and the sun setting and anything in between, it means nothing except my mind going out and put a meaning on it. So what if there is no meaning and it's just seen full of love? And so just a quiet love meets whatever it sees, however it looks upon. So that's what he calls true vision. So the course is about coming to have peace, but really he talks about this true vision. If you go into the early lessons, he's sort of saying, vision will show you this and show you that. And, you will see a forgiven world. So he's always talking about another way to see the world. So that's what the lessons are leading us to see differently. And you can't make that happen except by doing forgiveness, except by just doing the lessons as he asks us to do. And each small step clears away the darkness. So we've got this veil. It's like a veil in front of our eyes, or a dirty window in front of our eyes. Oh, it's not our eyes, it's in our mind. And we can't find our mind, right? Because the mind is formless. So all we can know is there is a mind and it's full of thoughts, ego thoughts, right? And So all our experiences, all our emotions, our upsets and that come from the thoughts in our mind. And it feels like we have got no control over them. You know, the ego speaks first. So there's just thought, thought, thought. And that's why, you know, he gives us these little things to do, is to notice that all thoughts are about the past. So he's asking us to get more and more into looking at the thoughts. And then, you know, looking at our thoughts as a procession of thoughts. So it's just stepping back and watching the thoughts. So these lessons are getting us to really see that the thoughts are giving a meaning to the images that we're seeing. And that's what's called the dream. That's the dreaming, which is the perception that goes out and labels and gives meaning to what we see. And even what we see is still all part of the dream. But if you can, for me, it felt like it's better to just say that the images are meaningless. Like everything I see it has really no meaning. And once I started to see that, I then could see that the thoughts were giving it meaning. And just seeing that that it had no meaning without the thoughts going forward to put meaning on them, I was able to have a realization that, you know, it really didn't mean anything. Nothing really meant anything. And so there's this little gap in our minds where we just see that without the thought that says this means that, say, well, actually, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't really mean anything. So those early lessons are really important to helping us shift our perception. And then when we just let all the meaning go and just look at it without any meaning, what happens is God's comes through and looks at it. So when I say God, it's like the mind has been cleared of the ego, because the ego is the meaning it puts on things. So the ego is all the meaning, which is all imbued with the self-concept of ourselves and the world. So the world is actually giving the self-concept meaning. And so what happens is our mind becomes free of all the meaning, which is the ego thoughts. And he says there's this little gap which you just need to be still when you meet that. And he says that the ego is going to want to rush in and keep putting meaning on it. But I just kept practicing, you know, this tree is meaningless, this car is meaningless, it has no meaning. I'm giving everything all the meaning, it has no meaning. What meaning am I giving it? All day long. Like I was a very, you could say, studious student. Like tried to within that 2-year period be really mindful 24/7. In other words, I was really always, wherever I was trying to say, you know, this car has no meaning, that body has no meaning. I've given that a meaning. What meaning have I got? That comes from the ego, you know, that literally, and started to really, you know, practice these couple of little lessons, you know, comes from the past. And, you know, that thought is meaningless. It's giving a meaning to that image. And so what happens is that all that meaning falls away because you've seen that it has no meaning. So what seems to happen is those meanings that used to come forward and you know, those thoughts that were once believed, saying, oh, that means that, you know, and that's sad and that's terrible and that tree shouldn't die and that tree shouldn't be taken out and, you know, that person shouldn't be doing that. All that starts to unravel, all that story, which is the dream story. The dream is the whole story that we're putting on everything. And then what happens is that there's just this clarity because the mind is then free. And so the forgiven world is just saying that the last forgiveness lesson is done, and everything just becomes, you're looking at it, it just becomes God. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. And it sounds funny when you hear that lesson without the experience. Once that is experienced, that's it. Your mind is just living in this experience of God. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. Lesson 30. And that's what he's leading us to. So out of 365 lessons, he gets to the point very quickly. So I just wanted to share that. That was what was coming through this morning, or this morning here, for me to share as we go into today's reading. So it's really beautiful to be able to share with the group who are here that this is possible. It's not just some airy-fairy thing presented in the course. We can, and it is safe, to remove all meaning you've put on everything, to work with the Holy Spirit and Jesus to see that nothing has any meaning, and to really spend some time with that it doesn't mean anything. And what it is, it's taking full responsibility, 100% responsibility that your mind has put all meaning on everything. Every little movement, every body, every little sound out of a mouth, every little look, every turn, every leaf, every blade of grass, every single thing you see, if you will notice, you will put meaning on. There's always, remember thought, he says thoughts have power. They're giving meaning. They're keeping the world as true and real. The illusion is looking real when we give it a meaning. So that's a great teaching for practicing. And those first 30 lessons are amazing to get you to this, to really focus on that. So today we're going to be talking about healing, the healing example, and who doesn't want to be healed, right? Just turn my phone off, just a moment. I'll just turn that off. The healing example. So healing is of our mind. As our mind is healed, our body will show health. But as we know that the body is neither healthy nor unhealthy, it can't be. It's a puppet. It has no ability to make a decision. The mind makes all decisions. The body can't decide for itself to get sick. It's impossible. It's where is it in here, you know, in my finger that has got some ability to say I'm going to be sick or have pain today? Like, where is it that this can decide? Can my nail on my finger decide to do something? Can my eyeball to decide for itself to be sick? Can my lip, can my nose, can my hair? Like, it doesn't have the ability to make a decision to be sick or in pain. All sickness and pain come from our mind. It comes from our belief in separation. When we have a belief in separation, we're fearful of God. We've separated and we feel guilty. Even though we may not have that as our experience, that's what's behind everything. And that sort of will come to your awareness. So healing is of the mind. So if you are feeling any pain or sickness, put all your focus on healing your mind and spend time wisely. Don't waste time. It's still okay to use things in time of the ego, medicines and different things, use them, but use them lightly. Don't delay. Work with the healing of your mind through forgiveness, through seeing this is a dream. I am dreaming. My mind is dreaming this dream. It has no reality because it's got nothing to do with love, this dream. So it can't be true. And so I'm not going to believe that I can be sick because I'm being told over and over again that I am infinite love, created by infinite love. And let me move into that experience. Let me have a holy instant to show me that that is my experience. And what is there to fear about coming into having an experience of infinite love? Because all you're going to do is love everyone and everything completely, knowing they're not bodies, that they are love themselves. So love just sees love. It doesn't see bodies to love. It just sees love. Love looks upon love. It knows the truth about the true self, which is formless. So healing is of the mind. So if this is where I made the decision on my journey, I'm going to reduce my reliance on vitamins and medications and yogurts and diet, and come to practice forgiveness with a full intention of a healed mind, to be peaceful, to have a quiet, tranquil mind. And so in those intentions, we work with the Holy Spirit and Jesus, and we have a strong intention to hear them because they're here to help us. And so we start to heal. And then when our mind is healed and our body seems to demonstrate health, but we know that it's just a puppet and it can't be sick, and nobody can be sick except by their wish to be, but they don't even know that they've got a wish to be sick. They've forgotten that decision. There's no guilt in deciding to be sick. It's just a choice, thinking it's safety. Remember, he says that you think sickness is safety. You've just forgotten, and that's all. We just have to remember. We just have to remember who we are. And there's no loss or sacrifice in coming to know your true self. The ego's got lots of stories, but we just need to look past them and laugh them off and just say, ha ha, good try. Thanks for sharing all your ideas about how bad awakening's going to be. And I've heard them all, and I've had them all myself. I've had them all in my mind. The ego loves to have stories of devastation and chaos if you awaken. And that's where we have to be gently brought through, cross that, that final, fear of thinking that we're all going to, we're going to just disappear or whatever else the ego says. So the healing example, which is we're going to be an example of healing, because we're going to show our brothers a healed body, and they're going to see the demonstration that we cannot be sick. And by that, there's the miracle. And that's the miracle worker demonstrates to his brother that his healed mind is showing him a healed body. And some people can dispute that teaching, but that's the way I've seen the teachings in the course. It's all the way through it. Now, it's not to say that, I don't know what's going to happen in my mind, however it's going to happen. All I can say is in this moment, with a tranquil and clear mind, and for a long period of time, I've had no illness. And, I've had people with coronavirus coughing in my face. I was sitting with someone a few weeks ago that had it, and I was talking very closely with her. She messaged me the next day, said, I've got COVID. My partner said, ha ha, you'll get it now. And I said, no, I won't. So you can laugh at it. You can laugh, because we can know, I mean, this is why myself and many others, we need to stand up, and everyone in this group, I encourage you to stand up and laugh at these beliefs that you can catch something. It's impossible because the mind is the decider, and love can't get sick. God's love cannot get sick. And if you can stay in that truth and hold it and live in it, you will not get sick. You will not have any pain. And this is what he's asking us in this section we're going to read today. We'll probably read through it because I've, without too much comment, because I've sort of given away all the things I was going to say. But it sounds ludicrous, doesn't it, to the ego, blasphemous to the ego, to say it's impossible to get sick or impossible to experience pain. But the more Course in Miracles students that come to listen to this and embody it, it will become eventually, in time, over time, there'll be more and more, there'll be hundreds and thousands of us speaking this truth out. And that'll be really lovely to have so many witnesses to truth. So I'm playing my small part by just accepting the atonement for myself and to demonstrate this to others, because I wanted a demonstration. and he said, why not be it? So here I am, showing up as that. So let's get on to the reading. Shannon, would you like to start the reading for today? Thank you.
Sure, Cate. Thank you. The healing example. The only way to heal is to be healed. The miracle extends without your help, but you are needed that it can begin. Accept the miracle of healing, and it will go forth because of what it is. It is its nature to extend itself the instant it is born. And it is born the instant it is offered and received. No one can ask another to be healed, but he can let himself be healed and thus offer the other what he has received. Who can bestow upon another what he does not have? And who can share what he denies himself? The Holy Spirit speaks to you. He does not speak to someone else, yet by your listening, his voice extends because you have accepted what he says.
Health is to the witness unto health. As long as it is unattested, it remains without conviction. Only when it has been demonstrated is it proved, and must provide a witness that compels belief. No one is healed through double messages. In other words, no one, if I stand before you and say I have a healed mind and demonstrate an unhealed body, I'm giving you a double message. If you wish only to be healed, you heal. In other words, if I wish to be healed, I will be healed. I just need that wish to have a healed mind. Your single purpose makes this possible. But if you are afraid of healing, then it cannot come through you. The only thing that is required for a healing is a lack of fear. The fearful are not healed and cannot heal. This does not mean the conflict must be gone forever from your mind to heal. For if it were, there were no need for healing then. But it does mean, if only for an instant, you love without attack. An instant is sufficient. Miracles wait not on time. So that love without attack is an important sentence there. And to me, that is a Christ blessing, love without attack. If you can hold the person that you have a grievance with, hold their face in your mind and love them without attack, which is that pure Christ blessing. I love you, my brother. I see your innocence. I see your holiness. It will heal. And that really heals you back to a healed mind. Shannon?
The holy instant is the miracle's abiding place. From there, each one is born into this world as a witness to a state of mind that has transcended conflict and has reached to peace. It carries comfort from the place of peace into the battleground and demonstrates that war has no effects. For all the hurt that war has sought to bring, the broken bodies and the shattered limbs, the screaming dying and the silent dead are gently lifted up and comforted.
There is no sadness where a miracle comes to heal, has come to heal, and nothing more than just one instant of your love without attack is necessary that all this occur. In that one instant, you are healed. And in that single instant is all healing done. What stands apart from you when you accept the blessing that the Holy Spirit brings? Be not afraid of blessing, for the one who blesses you loves all the world and leaves nothing within the world that could be feared. And if you shrink from blessing, will the world indeed seem fearful? For you have withheld its peace and comfort, leaving it to die.
Would not a world so bitterly bereft be looked on as a condemnation by the one who could have saved it, but stepped back because he was afraid of being healed? The eyes of all the dying bring reproach, and suffering whispers, "What is there to fear?" Consider well its question. It is asked of you on your behalf. A dying world asks only that you rest an instant from attack upon yourself, that it be healed.
Come to the holy instant and be healed, for nothing that is there received is left behind on your returning to the world. And being blessed, you will bring blessing. Life is given you to give the dying world, and suffering eyes no longer will excuse, but shine in thanks to you who blessing gave. The holy instant's radiance will light your eyes and give them sight to see beyond all suffering and see Christ's face instead. Healing replaces suffering. Who looks on one cannot perceive the other, for they cannot both be there. And what you see, the world will witness and will witness too. So this is just telling us to look past the death, the dying, the wars, the broken bodies, to see that we can't die. Who we are can never die, but we can witness the suffering world. We can but remember all the meaning comes from us. We can say, look what that happened to that body. That body got mutilated or was killed. But he's asking us to not look at bodies, to look past them, whether they seem to be healthy or suffering or dead. He's asking us to see the Christ within, the holiness of our brother, and that the holiness cannot be attacked or die. He's asking us to get into a holy mind and have a holy instant of realization. Shannon?
Thus is your healing everything the world requires, that it may be healed. It needs one lesson that has perfectly been learned. And then, when you forget it, will the world remind you gently of what you have taught? No reinforcement will its thanks withhold from you, who let yourself be healed that it might live. It will call forth its witnesses to show the face of Christ to you, who brought the sight to them by which they witnessed it. The world of accusation is replaced by one in which all eyes look lovingly upon the friend who brought them their release. And happily your brother will perceive the many friends he thought were enemies.
Problems are not specific, but they take specific forms, and these specific shapes make up the world. And no one understands the nature of his problem. If he did, it would be there no more for him to see. Its very nature is that it is not. And thus, while he perceives it, he cannot perceive it as it is. But healing is apparent in specific instances and generalizes to include them all. This is because they really are the same, despite their different forms. All learning aims at transfer, which becomes complete within two situations that are seen as one, for only common elements are there. Yet this can only be attained by one who does not see the differences you see. The total transfer of your learning is not made by you, but that it has been made in spite of all the differences you see, convinces you that they could not be real. He's saying here, we need Jesus and the Holy Spirit to show us that this lesson here, that the Holy Spirit will show us that they're all the same. There's those holy instants where we see something, it just appears in our mind, there's a big realization, and the transfer goes from one or two situations. He might show you two situations, a similarity, and then it generalizes across everything. That's how we learn. We learn in specifics and then generalizing. Shannon?
Yeah, it's really about like as we're learning, we're looking at the world from fear, but then as that shifts, as we step into the Holy Spirit and we allow ourselves to be shown, we are seeing fear from love. And that is how we shine it away. And we start to see through the Holy Spirit that it is actually all the same. And the reason it's all the same is it's unreal. And then we can laugh it away, Cate, like you were saying earlier. So, yeah. Now I don't know what paragraph we're on.
Paragraph 9.
Thank you. Your healing will extend and will be brought to problems that you thought were not your own. And it will also be apparent that your many different problems will be solved as any one of them has been escaped. It cannot be their differences which made this possible, for learning does not jump from situations to their opposites and bring the same results. All healing must proceed in lawful manner in accord with laws that have been properly perceived, but never violated. Fear you not the way that you perceive them. You are wrong, but there is one within you who is right.
Such a key teaching, that last line. You were wrong. But there is one within you who is right. So I think I've said many times that because I really desired healing, I just sort of said to myself, or just as an affirmation, okay, I'm ready to be wrong about everything I now believe to be right or true. I just decide that I am wrong about everything. So when I came to that, I was open to being taught. Because when we hang on to that we're right about our perceptions, we can't allow another perception in. So it was really nice for me just to say, look, I'm not at peace. So I just want to become a really good student and be wrong. So you are wrong. That Jesus is not saying you might be right about something. He means that we're wrong about our perceptions. He doesn't mean that we're wrong as in there's something wrong with us. He means just decide that you're wrong. And joy will come in. Peace will be restored to your mind. The big issue we have is that we think we're right. So, that stops you from having any opinions about anything. So if someone says something, you can just tell yourself, I don't know. Because to speak something out about, oh, I think this or I think that, or maybe this, or this person's like that, all you're doing is speaking out something that you think you know. So what happens is it brings you into a lot of silence, because you understand that you don't know and that you're wrong about everything. So it brought me to suddenly hardly ever speaking. Because every time I went to say something, I'd be, well, that's wrong, because that's from the past and that's thinking I know something. And I literally realised that there wasn't much I could say. Maybe just say, would you like a cup of tea? Would you like something to eat? Would you like to go for a walk with me? Something like that. That was all. And I found that my conversation was 80 to 90% gone, because anything else I was speaking out was something that I thought I knew. And of course, I had decided that I was wrong. I had to decide that, or else I knew if I bought anything from the past, I would muddy up the waters of truth. And I wanted the truth. I wanted the peace of God. But anyway, so let's read on. Leave then the transfer of your learning to the one who really understands its laws and who will guarantee that they remain unviolated and unlimited. Your part is merely to apply what he has taught you to yourself, and he will do the rest. And it is thus the power of your learning will be proved to you by all the many different witnesses it finds. Your brother, first among them, will be seen, but thousands stand behind him, and beyond each one of them, there are 1,000 more. Each one may seem to have a problem that is different from the rest, yet they are solved together, and their common answer shows the questions could not have been separate. So we're just going to see, so we're going to be shown something as we look at one brother, and then the transfer of training is just going to encompass all the hundreds, thousands of it, and we were going to see the truth. It's going to shine past everything and cross everyone. Shannon?
Yeah, you know, one other thing too is that the world tries to tell you that you should know. And if you don't know, pretend and act like you do. I know in my job, I really saw that a lot at first, that like if someone asked me a question, I would act like I knew it, even if I didn't, because I was supposed to know somehow. And so coming into that, I don't know, I'll never forget the first time I said, I don't know at work. And it was so freeing. I thought it would be devastating, but it was so freeing. And the more we can admit, I really don't know what's happening here. I have no idea what's going on. Then we can invite, that kind of opens that little space to be able to allow the Holy Spirit to come in any moment where we're feeling like we should know something or feel like we do know something, to just remind ourselves, I don't know, and let the Holy Spirit come in and show us what's really happening. Peace be to you, to whom is healing offered, and you will learn that peace is given you when you accept the healing for yourself. Its total value need not be appraised by you to let you understand that you have benefited from it. What occurred within the instant that love entered in without attack will stay with you forever. Your healing will be one of its effects, as will your brother's. Everywhere you go, will you behold its multiplied effects. Yet all the witnesses that you behold will be far less than all there really are. Infinity cannot be understood by merely counting up its separate parts. God thanks you for your healing, for he knows it is a gift of love unto his Son, and therefore is it given unto him. It's beautiful.
Let's just sit in silence for a few minutes and let that last paragraph sink in. So just remain with your eyes closed, and I'll just read one of the poems from Helen Schuckman's book, The Gifts of God. Our common goal. Ours is a common task. Each one is called, and he will answer as he makes the choice to give up madness and to choose instead to recognize and to accept God's voice. Each one will waken at the time and place that he has chosen, and will take his part in the atonement's purpose. For he came with resurrection's calling in his heart. He must attain a glorious rebirth and scatter stars across the sleeping earth. Amen. So Shannon, would you like to lead the meditation today?
Sure. We'll just everybody stay in that nice, comfortable, quiet place. And just imagine yourself taking all of your thoughts, all of your judgments, all of the people you know, all of your responsibility, and just keep putting all of it in front of you. Just kind of make a big pile of all of these things. Anything you identify yourself as, your job. Just make a big pile and clear yourself out. Once you're finished making this pile, just take one big step back from all of it. Now I'm going to read these words, and I'd like for you to visualize this and see if you can step into an experience of light. Beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light. See that golden light, the big arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining, and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity, nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not. Repeat to yourself, I am the light of the world. And allow yourself to just merge with this infinite, endless light. Beautiful, bright, white light. Infinite, eternal white light. I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, everyone. It'll be a shorter session today, but not short in its beautiful message and healing. So take that quietness, stay with it, and let it feel, just let it come in and take its place within you. So between now and when you go to sleep, especially if you're in your evening or afternoon, just try to stay off anything that draws you out of this. Try to take this with you, this peace and this silence and this tranquility. Try not to be drawn out of it. Just let this peace go with wherever you go. So let's just do a silent blessing to each other today, just so that we don't use words. Sometimes words are used, but they don't really need to be used. Now just look around at all your brothers. Try to see the same innocence and guiltlessness in everyone. See the same holiness, the same beauty, same loveliness. Let him teach us that it's the same. There's no order of difficulties in miracles. You're going to see the same innocence and beauty in everyone. Thank you, everyone. Gratitude and love. See you next week.